Welcome to The Mix, a fusion dance podcast where we dive into the world of blending dances and all that comes with it. We're talking about everything from the highs of nailing that perfect combo to the lows, emotional, and mental challenges and more. And if you're new to the dance scene, don't worry, we've got you covered with practical tips to help get you started, feel comfortable, and most importantly, have fun. So come on in. We can't wait to dance with you.
That's Trang. I'm Kalen. Thank you for joining us today on the Mix Fusion Dance Podcast. What are we talking about? What are you so excited about that you don't want to greet people?
Um, I would like to talk about the Fusion University FU rubric that you spent
Ooh.
10s, 20, 30 hours on to create.
I
Uh,
have gray hairs now because of that thing. I didn't have gray hairs prior to it. It's not even a joke. Ooh.
it was
Lord.
honestly, it was so worth it because it was one of those things where it's like upfront, exhaustive work, um, create from hours of conversations with you and me since last year, but also with people from different scenes, instructors, and it just this PDF sheet of paper. Some if people want to judge it and they're just like, it looks like you just slapped something together. It's like, no, actually, when you read it though, you can tell there was thought put into it. Like, I feel like the rubric you created, and put all the words together, um, it's like a well thought out, like power deck presentation. And people say like, oh, I feel like it's so clear in a way of explaining things. Um, I love what you said. We need to codify or measure if we're going to define what good is. You cannot improve if you don't have a measure of what good is.
Yeah, so like it's weird. I feel like we treat fusion, specifically fusion dance, like something that's just totally different and totally unique from any other hobby or any other sport or activity or thing. And it's like it's beautiful, it's wonderful, it's a lot of things, but it's not so different that you can't liken it to anything else. Um, we can often point to what our favorite things are with no problem. Like if you say, "Oh, who's your favorite dancer?" or "What's your favorite song?" or like whatever, you can point to it, no problem. Right? When we talk about food, restaurants, whatever, we say, "This is my favorite restaurant. It's my favorite place because of all these things they do so well." And whether we realize it or not, we have a measure of what we are calling good. We have a thing. It's usually inside of us, right? It's usually deep in here somewhere, or deep in here, or deep in here, or wherever, right? Maybe deep in here. But we have a measure of like, or we have, I should say, a ruler that we are measuring things by, that we're calling things good. But we don't say that. We don't do that about dance. We don't do it about fusion. And that doesn't make any sense because fusion is this nexus of all these other things. But so are the other things. Like the and I'm answering your question. I promise I'm not gonna rant. I promise it. But even using salsa as an example, right? Like salsa itself is a mix of African and of Latin and of European instruments as well as movements and influences, right? You take son, which was a dance from Cuba, and you take that and you fling it over into New York, and it's mixing with these different jazz bands and brass and all these other elements, right? And the way people are dancing, that becomes mambo, and then mambo begins to circulate. And I'm giving a very sort of like you know like super overview version of the history of salsa, right? But like it is a fusion dance at its core. The way it's danced in New York is different than the way it's danced in LA. It's I mean literally on one is LA style, right? Like dancing on the one, that's LA style versus Cali versus Cuban versus Colombian, it like versus Puerto Rican. Like there's so many different ways to do it, but it is a fusion dance. It is a medley of so many different things. And like that's just one thing, right? In salsa, we have things that we can point to, right? We have technique that we can point to. We have these things that we can say, this is good. This is great. This is me ranting. This is what Jordan always says I do whenever I go to Denny's. This is why I can't go to Denny's because I will stay till like 5 in the morning. Anyway, all of this to say that we know what good is, and we know what it's like when we taste it. It tastes like this is the thing. It gives you a feeling that is it's a joy, it's a replenishing, it's a refreshing, it's a thing that we're like, yes, this. But then I think we get scared or apprehensive or nervous about it because fusion can be a very vulnerable dance. And it's a dance where, unlike others, I think, it lends itself to being very personal. And so a lot of people come at it with this vulnerability, and they want to protect that. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to kind of look at it and take it from this place of pure expression to now something that's being intellectualized or is being criticized. However, we want to improve, we want to get more out of it, we want to have better dances, we want to have better nights, we want to be, I mean, I don't think there's anyone who, if they were given the choice to be their favorite dancer's favorite dancer, like the person that they love dancing with, if they could know for sure they could be that person's favorite, that they would say no to that, right? And practice and growth, that's how you get there. That's how you get to that point. But you can't get to that point if you don't have something to stand on. How do you improve if you don't have a way of clearly marking what improvement looks like? How do you measure height if you have nothing to measure height against? So, to answer your question, um, the reason why it took so much, I hope that if you fast forwarded past this, that's totally fine. I get it, right? But if you listen to me just like rant, I hope you hear passion in my voice, and I hope that that just comes across so clearly that there's so much that went into this darn thing. And I looked at it recently and I was like, why did I do this? Because there's so much. There is so much. But at the same time, I want it to be a resource. And I believe if I'm gonna do something, I need to do it to a certain level. Like if I'm gonna do it, I want to do it well. And I just don't believe in half doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm half doing it, it's because I just don't care. It's because I'm like, oh, there's no heart in it. But if I'm putting my name on it, if it's something I'm about, so I'm like, okay, I need to be all in. What does this look like, right? And I truly do want the fusion scene, not just in LA, but in general, to be something that people are able to get more out of. It's been so rewarding for me. It's been replenishing and refilling. And then also, it's been a place where I feel like I've gotten to hone not just like my dance skills, but even my like to a certain degree, like I feel like I've gotten to be cared for, to be appreciated, and to be loved, and to also care for and love and appreciate others and share these really cool bonds and these things. And it's like, wow, it's amazing. So like, why not get better at the dance thing so you can do more of the other stuff too?
Some things are hard for me to articulate sometimes when it comes to dance. Like there's some moments where I'm like, I
Mhm.
know I need to get better at something. I can't figure out, is it technique? Is it whatever? But
Mhm.
this
Yeah.
rubric um is so helpful to be like, ah, you know what? I can pinpoint it now. And so I know that area to focus on instead of kind of going in blindly. And when you go to teacher and they're just
Yeah.
like, what do you want to work on today? And you're just like, I don't know. I just want to get better. And that's
Yeah.
really gonna be harder for the
Yeah.
teacher to focus on what you want to get out of the class
Mhm.
or the private lesson. But if you're just like, I want to work more on my connection, I want to work more on my musicality or
Mhm.
my technique or my
Yeah.
creativity, that kind of stuff, um, then that gives teachers a lot more direction on what to do. But also, you could also, we do offer like assessments with our stuff. So that's another thing where it's like, "Hey, I'm not sure
Yeah.
what. Let us dance with you and check your connection and check whatnot. We'll play 1 or 2
Mhm.
songs,
Mhm.
and here are areas where we can see that you're doing really well in, and there's areas where you're like, oh, there's some room for growth.'" We all have areas for
Yeah.
growth. I feel like it's like a character that you, in a video game where you select and you're like, "Oh, this person, like Bowser is, like, really good in strength, but slow in speed," and you're just like
Mhm.
in Mario Kart, you're like, "Nah."
Mario Kart. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas, like, Toad, you're like, "Oh, goes so fast because, like, it's so like, Toad is so light, but easily gets smushed like, if you bump into Toad, he gets flattened on the
Yeah.
right? So every character has, like, their strengths and, like, their weaknesses, and that's fine. It's like, you end up choosing whatever character or if you wanna be that balanced, like, character that has, like, medium
Mhm.
and everything,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's your
Yeah.
go-to person, your go-to character. So But it is nice being able to figure out what I want out of, my dances and areas that I, can level up to. So, we would love to share it with you guys. Come on
Yeah.
out to our class, our Practicas, and,
Mhm.
we'll be able to explain more thorough version of it. And I was talking to a friend, a non-dance person, and I was explaining about the world of partner dancing and socials, and they were like, "What? This thing exists?" And I was explaining that, you don't give feedback. It's not etiquette to give feedback on the dance floor. And also, like, in classes, you're with teachers and they just teach you and you kinda, like, go home and leave. And they were so confused at, like, when you get feedback. And I was like, "You" they're just like, "So when does that happen?" I was like, "You don't unless you solicit it and ask for it on the dance floor, maybe?"
Yeah.
And she was so confused. She was like, "Oh, okay. So how do you, like, know if you're doing something wrong?" And I was like, "Yeah, I I don't know." That's why for me, I'll ask, some people, I'll be like, "Hey, how's my connection?" 'Cause I think naive trying who start out dancing, I'd be like, "I wanted to learn more cool patterns."
Mhm.
Because that's cooler looking. But as I'm getting, uh, more seasoned, I guess, in dancing, I connection is one of and I think there's a difference between, like, learning connection when you're starting out and then when you're intermediate and learning connection and refining it when you're more advanced. Because
Yeah,
connection is
yeah, yeah,
always the
yeah.
thing. So there's, like, different
Mhm,
variations, right? It doesn't mean, like, we're gonna teach you chopping
mhm,
101.
mhm,
We're gonna teach
mhm.
you, like, chopping techniques, but they're maybe more, like, very refined and more
Yeah.
advanced maybe, right?
Mhm. Yeah, so, you talking about connection is really cool because I feel like that's one of those things where, um, like, no matter how advanced you get in something, you always go back to the fundamentals. Like, the more you study what makes it work, the more you go back to the fundamentals. And for fusion, again, being a derivative of blues, you have to get back the the musicality, the connection. Like those are things that are super important, right? How you're relating to your partner, and then also how you're relating to the music. Because as a dancer, your job, your role, your duty is to interpret and to visualize the music. So your inspiration is not just your emotions. Your emotions can be a great source of inspiration, but it's not the only source. It is the music. You are a conduit. You're taking the music and you are expressing it. So that's an important thing. And what's interesting is when you're doing that with another person, connection is how that channel is activated. You gotta be able to clean up and to refine and to share these ideas in a way that the other person can like latch onto and can share with and can expound. Um, Super recently, I was having a conversation with someone who is new to fusion, but they danced other styles and they've also been, I'll say, a lifelong mover because I don't want to I don't want to specify, but this is someone who they've done other movements like martial arts and things like that, over their lifetime. And coming into fusion, it was really interesting because I asked them a couple questions. I think you helped give me some ideas for questions, trying that I asked them, and one of them was like, are there things that you're frustrated about or things that you feel like you're like, this is something that you would like improve or change? And then also like what are the positive things that you're experiencing? And it was kind of like a double-sided answer. And their answer was that they felt like because of the sort of like no constraints, like there's no rules sort of philosophy around fusion, they felt like they had so much freedom to explore their dance and then other dances with people. And it was like they felt like it was so rewarding and so joyful for them. And they loved having that unlock, especially because I think they come from a more technical and sort of like refined background. So everything is very like you do this on this beat, and then this on this beat, and then that on that beat, and it has to be here, right? So being able to just forget about all that and just feel that was super unlocking for them. But on the other side, I think what they said they struggled with the most is that because it can be so free, sometimes their partner wouldn't catch or pick up what they were giving them and what they were feeling in the music. And they felt like often because of the lack or lapse in connection. And I think it's because the style that they come from it's not blues, right? It's not that sort of, kind of that blues or swing or, even maybe Lindy or West Coast swing, which are pretty common, I'd say pretty common in our fusion scene and in fusion in general, I think. Um, they felt like there were some things that their partners just didn't pick up on. And so they still had great, like they still had a great time. They still had a lot of joy in their dances, but they weren't able to feel as seen or as heard or as cared for in some ways, um, all the time because of that. And so I think like the connection part is super important because I think we pride ourselves on being like, everybody come in, have a great time. Doesn't matter what style you come from, doesn't matter who you are, whatever. Like, there's a space for you, type of thing. But if we're also not working on connection, if we're not like refining that part, there are some people who just like they just won't get heard. They won't be able to feel like they're able to take part in the dances, you know?
Hmm.
There was a person who we had a conversation, and it was actually out of practice. And this was a while back, but it like shifted how I dance because it hit me, and I was like, I remember just like doing some cool stuff. Like I was just doing some isolations and some like rolls and some things like that. But I was like isolating intentionally so it didn't disrupt my partner. And we had some sort of like rapport, so she could like kind of be honest with me, and I wasn't gonna like be mad or whatever. But she was like, can you lead that? And I was like, oh, yeah. She's like, no, like I'm asking you, I'm asking you if you can lead it. Like I want you to lead it because I want to join in that too. I want to take part of that too. And it was like it just like that stuck me because I was like, oh, this is just me. This is what I was feeling with the song. This is just like this is what the song was telling me. It was telling me da 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 and da, da, do all this stuff. But she was like, oh, I want to take part in that. I was like, oh, yeah. So then that kind of helped shift what I was like, oh, I want to learn to have a better connection so that my partner can feel what I'm feeling if they want to take part in that. And so that we're both experiencing this. It's not just me feeling like I'm getting all this cool stuff from the music and they're just like, yay, you look like you're having fun, but they're also getting to take part in that?
Like a conversation you're letting them be involved in.
Yes, it's exactly that.
So before we get to the rubric,
Oh,
in a nutshell, I do a thought came up to me, and I think sometimes when we are at these practicas maybe, or also through discussions, I'm noticing with anything that has to do with the arts, sometimes there is a mindset maybe of like, I don't want any sense of structure because it's going to ruin the art form, right? Or I think that's how, or even like when it gets extreme, like I don't want like competition because it can kill the art,
yeah.
competitions and like, like what the stuff that you see in other dance forms. And so I feel like sometimes if there's anything where people may interpret it as squashing the art form, they're going to be against it. And I feel like that's a mindset that can be, I don't know if limiting is the right word. I think there is a nice fine balance. And what I love about the rubric that you created from hours of discussions and everything like that is that it adds a little bit, a tiny bit of black and white to a dance that is so interpreted as gray. Because some people might see structure as a bad thing. And I remember talking to this person who works in the arts, has done a choir, is a dance teacher, and all that kind of stuff. It has done so many performance art stuff. And she was saying that's the thing, like that many people have some people have this idea where like no structure is good. And she was like, that's not the case. It's like, how can you write poetry if you don't know grammar?
Mm,
You learn all these things, you learn from all these dances, and pull from them so you can know what to break and
mhm.
how to color
Yes.
outside the lines.
Yes.
So, kind of like, the baseline dance and you can or the baseline technique, or because there's some people that don't come from like ballroom or that kind of stuff, right? So these baseline fundamentals, and then you can add on top of it once you know. So I know a little bit of a few random dances, just beginner, maybe intermediate for some, but the basics, right? But because I know them, I know how to break them when I want to use it in fusion. If I'm gonna say like at a pure hustle event, pure tango event, something like that, I'll know to color in the lines.
Yeah.
But at fusion, I know how those moves or those connections work. So I know how to break it and color outside the lines, but not to the point where it breaks the connection with my partner.
Like I mean, I think you have like this attitude towards it where you're like, oh, I want to get more so I can experience more and I can express more. And like you don't use every single thing that you know all the time, but like when the moment is right for it, when the song is there or the lead is asking or giving you the space for it, or you decide to take the space for it, it's there because you've built it up. It's like you've put it on hold, or you've like put it in stock somewhere, and then when the time's right, you're like, oh, I have it. It's right here. I can just pull it out. I don't have to second guess if this is right. I don't have to think, oh, was this okay? Or you're like, no, I know it was right. And it's not like a thing where you're like, oh, I'm amazing. Check me out. But it's like, no, like you have this confidence about it because you've gotten to refine it because you saw it. You say, oh, I want to do this. So then you started working on and practicing it, and now it's there. It's just it's there.
No, thanks.
You know,
You know what it's like? It's like playing Mortal Kombat or a video game,
you're speaking my
and then
language.
you're
Yep.
like,
Yep.
and then at the very end, like maybe three-fourths way, you pull the power move. And you're like, what? And you're like, I've been
Backward,
practicing.
forward, back,
Yes,
square. It's
A,
like,
B,
yep.
or whatever controller you're using. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you've been practicing like
Mm-hmm.
the past weekend on that move. And then
Mm-hmm.
finally you're just like, ah, and then you choke
Mm-hmm.
them and then you like uppercut them and then they die.
Okay. Yeah.
Get over here.
That's that back back or down back up back square thing. That's like yeah. I play PlayStation, so I think square, triangle, circle,
Yeah.
all that stuff like that. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Golly,
Exactly.
Mortal Kombat. That's a great reference.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Um, and most of the time it fails. And then the person
Mm-hmm.
just flops on the ground. You know when you try to do it all the time and it's
Mm-hmm.
just it doesn't work and you're like, oh. And then you have to restart the game and then wait another
No,
three
no. I
minutes
had
until they
I had
die.
brothers. I had brothers. They were absolutely. If I messed up, they would let me know. We talked so much trash, so I could not mess up because
Yeah.
I couldn't afford it. I was like, nah. Let me
Um,
tell you why you're garbage.
Oh, yeah, and I think, like, back then when I was working on those things, like, in my bathroom mirror or something like that, it would have been so nice to have someone to practice with, and that's why I'm really glad that we did a Practicas, like, people have coming out with it, finding
Mm-hmm.
things to be useful, but before we get into that, I do want to talk about the rubric, the 6
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
idea the 6, um, markers that you have,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like when people are like, "Oh, no, an assessment," I was like, "Guys, guys, guys, we're not gonna rip your head apart." Like, people that have come to practicas, they know the style that we do, and it's more of like I don't know if you say, like, it's like a friend giving you advice, but it's just more of like it really is more so like, "Hey, this is what" you know what?
Yeah.
It's like when you're being recorded on a video camera, and then you see the blind spots that you couldn't see when you're dancing, but a video or
Yeah.
an extra
Yeah.
pair
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
eyes is
Mm-hmm.
like because I remember a dance teacher being like, "You step back a little bit too much when you're anchoring," or that kinda stuff, and he's like, "Try to pull
Mm.
the leg underneath your hips."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And I still have a problem with that, but I'm aware of it, but I also had a video to show him, and he's like, "See right there? You wanna align it so your posture's better and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, and it's gonna make the connection better, and just wait half a second more." He was able like, that's why as cringy as it might feel, like, recording videos really helps because it can like, there's some things I'll record of my dances with someone else, and I'll be like, "Okay, what about this part? Like, my footing is a bit off.
Yeah.
Do you" and then you're able to break it down. I'm like, "Oh, thank God. Thank you." Because I was like, "There's something off." It wasn't bad. I still was able to follow really well, but it just
Mm-hmm.
felt a little bit like I was lagging behind, and I was like, "I don't know why." And so
Yeah.
it's able to take all these things and tweak. And what I love about this rubric is that there, I think in fusion, because there's so many different types of dancers that come through, there are people you're gonna like their style more, and there's some people you're gonna be like, "Oh, their style is like I still dance well with them, but maybe it's not my style that I prefer."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so sometimes people there's a difference. Some people will be like, "I like the big dances. I love the big dances," you know? And then some people are like, "I like more of like vanilla basics grounded dances." And this rubric is able to really pinpoint actually like these are 2 different dancers, and
Yeah.
they score high in different areas
Mm-hmm.
and low in different areas, right? Lower in different areas, but when it's averaged out, you're like, "Oh, they're actually like they have a same average score, but they're like 2 different flavors."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Here's why. Here's specifically why. And it's so nice because before I'd be like, "Well, I have this experience with this one, but this experience with this person, and I can't figure it out why." And
Yep. Yep.
this was so it was so helpful. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
okay. So,
Yeah.
first thing.
That has been that thing right there. That feeling of like I can't put my finger on it. I can't say, but I know it's something that has been an itch for because I've been dancing like almost like 10 years now. You know, which makes me feel really old, but the pandemic doesn't count. So it's really like maybe 7 years, something like that, 6 or 7 years. I took breaks, as well too. So, but that feeling right there, that of being like, I can't put my finger on why, but I like dancing with some Like some people, it just works. Like you have a certain kind of chemistry with, and then with others, you're like, I don't know, there's a block there. Like we can do all of the things, but there just feels like there's something there that's just like, oh, I can't figure it out. So this was like also giving language to that, so you can pinpoint that thing and just yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool, and I think, there's a follow that is I mean, I haven't led her, but every lead I
Oh,
know
I already know who you're talking about. You
absolutely
have to
loves
say, but
dancing with her.
I know
All the
exactly what
leads
you're talking
listening
about.
in right now probably is like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
yeah,
who it
yeah.
is."
You know who it
And
is.
when you look at the rubric, you're like,
Mhm.
"This person excels in all of the 6 areas so well,"
Mhm.
and that's why probably
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
actually it is. Whereas, like,
Mhm.
there's other, maybe follows where it's or leads that's just like, "Oh, some
Mhm.
people do well with them, some people don't," and it's more of like you see what that,
Yeah.
again, like the strengths and that kinda stuff, but and so it was able to be like, "I see why now," like, the connection, everything. So the first thing
Yeah.
is connection and consent.
Mhm. Yes. No, I'm not gonna say anymore. That's it. That's all. I was gonna make a joke about how like a lot of the time I feel like when we talk about connection in dance, people will say it, but like there's no clear sort of like idea of what it means in connection, and another one will go really close together. But for the most part, it's about support, especially for a lead. It's about supporting your partner, and then the consent part is also very important because those two things I think, especially in fusion, matter a lot. I don't want to say matter more because I think they matter in all dances, but I think it's weighted heavier in fusion, especially because there's more agency to both. Or there's more agency to the follow, not just to the lead. It's not just like I tell you what to do and then you do it, right? It's very much I'm asking and I'm responding to. So that one is it's about being able to ensure that you're taking care of the other person, not just trying to do cool moves. Like, does their body hurt after you're dancing? Because if the answer is yes, that will that would be something that'd be a problem. That would be lower. That'd be something to work on. Maybe your grip is too tight. You're like crushing them, and that's not a good thing. Or maybe you're kind of wet noodly, and there's not a lot of connection there at all. So they don't know where you are. They don't know how to give you sort of that direction, or even to give you a suggestion, right? Or maybe you do dangerous things and you don't check in with them first. Like they might have an injury, and that's really dangerous, and that's not something that you should do. I think fusion has a lot of freedom, and you have people who come from different styles or things that are not even, like traditional dance, right? Like acro yoga. And you can do some really cool stuff. But if you're just tossing people in the air like kettlebells, that's not a good thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, are you patient enough to take it easy with someone who might be injured? Are you considerate in this way, right? Like, is that something, that you're taking into account when you dance? Or are you more or less just like, I'm dancing the same with everyone. I don't care. Everyone's getting thrown in the air, right? Like it's something to consider.
Or even, floorcraft. Floorcraft,
Oh my
floorcraft.
gosh, floor craft. I didn't even touch floor craft. Woo. Yeah,
So on the rubric, there's musicality and adaptability, and I
yeah,
know people might get confused on this. Can you explain
yeah.
the difference between those 2?
Like musicality. So the next one is musicality, and musicality is about. That's another one of those ones where you'll hear connection, right? It's always super out there, and then you hear musicality, and it's like, what does that even mean? But I think the easiest way to describe it is if you're dancing with another person, musicality is the third person in your dance. So are you listening to the song and responding to the song? Like are you integrating not just the lyrics, because I think a lot of times we just hear the lyrics, but like what's the drum saying? Like what's the percussion saying, right? Like what are the strings? Are you noting the phrase changes, right? Like what are you doing every 8, every 16, every 32? And it's not this super mechanical thing, but like you can if you listen to enough music, especially because like a lot of our music is in the same sort of like format, you'll hear it, there's gonna be a big boom coming. So like, what do you do on that? Do you, or are you dancing sort of like the same the entire way through? Um, and that one, I think that one is very easy to get confused with adaptability, which adaptability and musicality, they're like siblings, but they're not the same. And if musicality is the third person in your dance, the adaptability, that's how you show up and connect with each person in a dance. And so you might have, if you have, like, let's say you dance multiple styles, you can draw on different influences and different ways of moving. And that's the musicality part. But the adaptability, that's how you connect best with the person that you're dancing with. And that's why connection is so important, because connection is about the communication between you and the other person. The adaptability part, that's making sure that they're comfortable, that's making sure that they're taken care of. So it kind of runs alongside the connection portion, except it really emphasizes the kind of dancing that you're doing. Like, are you switching to open? Are you using close? Are you able to dance from, from space where it's like you and that person, but you're visually connected? It's really about that part of it, where you're able to show range. And with fusion, because there's so many different kind of people, like there's just so many kinds of people who are dancing, right? Like, that the ability to adapt, to change on the fly to different music, to different styles, to different inputs, different ideas, that there is a marker of what makes a really good fusion dancer a really good fusion dancer. It's like that person who can walk in and they, whatever language is happening, they're like, boom, they're on it. Like, this is the measure of like being a dance polyglot. It's being able to pull up right next to whoever and say, oh yeah, okay, I know how to make this work. And like, when people are high on this, the dancers who are high on this, they're the ones that you're just like, oh, doesn't matter what I do. I feel like they just get me. You know what I mean? And it's like that, it's that effect.
Okay, next one. How
Mhm.
about movement vocabulary?
Ooh, that's super simple. That one is that's the stuff, that's like the dictionary. That's the lexicon. That's like the things that you can reference. And for like leads, that's being able to do, because you can just do the basics super well, right? And that's totally fine. And you can still have great dances, but that's being able to do more than just the basic movements. That's like, that's knowing how to use hair combs or dips, or different kinds of turns or different kinds of spins or pivots, right? Sweeps, the different adornments, right? Like, that refers to the ability to pull out these different ideas. And there's a lot of there's a lot of dance specific ideas. So like, you might see like a hammerlock in multiple styles, or a Tommy tuck, right? You'll see that in a bunch of styles. But you typically won't see arm flicks or arm throws in West Coast swing. That's not something that you would see, right? Like, that's something that's like, oh, that's usually like a salsa or bachata specific movement. Like, you don't see those in a lot of things. Or even the I can't remember the the chicken move, the chicken move from Zook. I can't remember what it's called. It's called
Oh, the
something else.
rotisserie chicken.
The
Yeah.
rotisserie chicken. But like, you don't typically see that outside of Zook, right? So if someone were to pull that out, that's something that's different. And like, with fusion, it is, again, it being this blend of all these different things. Someone who dances multiple styles will just have a more broad vocabulary. Not that you have to use every single thing, right? But it's the knowledge of these things, the awareness of these things. And what's also interesting is that, like, if you have, let's say you have a lead who has, like a wide vocabulary, and you have a follow who, she's super adaptable. The dance can, even though, there may be things that, that the follow doesn't know, the lead should still be able to communicate those things clearly, and you can still have the stance where it's like things are happening, like, whoa, I didn't know I can do that, right? But if it's flipped, where like the follow has a large vocabulary and knows a lot, but the lead has a very limited vocabulary, it's often one of those experiences where the lead is like, huh, I didn't know I can do that. But the follow is frustrated and might feel like, I want to do more. Like, and that's not always the case, right? But that's where I think some of these are, I don't want to say more important, but typically for the lead, it's a sign of a good lead to have a wider vocabulary. Not that you shouldn't also be adaptable as a lead. I think you should. And I think people who switch, like if you lead and you follow, I think like that just boosts your ability in so many ways, especially in fusion. But I think like it makes you a better dancer, right? But like, if you're a follow who has, this, you're deeply musical, and you're deeply adaptable. Those tend to be follows that, me personally, that I'm like, yes, yes, please, please, let's dance. And that others seem to also chase after. Like, the person that we had in mind is like super adaptable. Like, just like whatever. I don't think I've I've seen them ever be phased by something. I don't think they've ever encountered something or like, I don't know what to do with that.
It's kind of like language, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
like linguistics, like you can, if you have very limited, like hi, bye, hello, thank you, how much is this? Then it's like you can kind of get by, but you can't have a rich conversation.
yeah.
Okay, next,
Creativity.
creativity and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
concept integration. So I guess to
yeah, yeah,
make it
yeah.
easier, it's like creativity. So how do you judge creativity?
Yeah, this one is one where I think this is like the most, I don't say artsy fartsy, right? But it's like that one it can be kind of difficult to like encapsulate, but it really just comes down. I think this one comes down to intent, which everyone has a different sort of interpretation of a song and a different reason for a song. But I think the thing that maybe is most clear about this one is it's about why you do what you do in the music. Like most of the time when you're dancing, I think for the most part, I think we're thinking about moves and we're thinking about, are we on beat? Like when you're dancing on the salsa, especially if you're dancing, we'll say salsa, right? You're like, oh, I got to be on the one, or I got to be on the two, or I got to be on this. I got to make sure I'm arriving on time. But with fusion, because the emphasis isn't so much on being right on the one here or right on the two here, you can do that. You can also kind of go off. It's a lot more about the reason and the intent behind what you do, whether the music is instrumental or it's lyrical or like it's super percussive or whatever it is. This one is really about having something that makes the dance not just about doing a bunch of stuff in time, right? That's where it gets into that sort of emotive part. Like, and what I find is people who are like musical theater or just hella dramatic. Like it's easy. By the way, for those who like couldn't hear, I pointed to myself when I said hella dramatic. I just want to be clear about that because if you've danced with me, you get it. You know why. But like that one there is it's about bringing all of that. It's really about bringing the personality to your dancing, not just doing moves, but it's about like what is the what's the story you're actively trying to tell. Is this a sad song? Okay, so are you how are you showcasing the sadness there? And it's very closely tied with musicality, but it's distinct because the musicality part is about the rhythm and the hits and the melody and those things, whereas the storytelling part, that's about the narrative, that's about the emotion, that's about the feeling. So I think for people who come from like a background like a contemporary background or like
Theater.
a
Yeah.
theater, yeah, 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 like
Something I think performance arts. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, because like that's what you're doing, you're trying to tell some kind of story.
Yeah.
And the song can be really sad, you can be really happy, and that can be the story that you're telling. It can be contrast, right? But it could also be your I've gone to some places like dancing where I was just like, yo, I need an agent. Somebody sign me up because I got chops. You know what I'm saying? Like you have a dance where you just like I love the face that you're making right now. Like where you have a dance with someone where you're just like you get so into character that it's like you're like we're just acting, right? Like this ain't real, right? And you're just like, yeah, yeah, no, it's just playing. You like
I
already
wonder if
broke down
people
into
get that
tears.
when I wonder if people have that when they have more of like a song they resonate like a heartbreak song
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it happens a
or
lot there during
or
dancing.
like someone in your family died recently song, and you're saying
Yeah.
goodbye,
What's the one? The
or
one.
even sensual, like a nice like Latin
Whoa, that's
like
dangerous. Nah,
touching,
that one's yeah,
whatever.
yeah. That's
I
dangerous
on it, I
territory
remember
right
someone being
there.
like, "Yeah, go ahead and do that when with someone you feel safe with," or like,
That part, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That one is like that one
Like
is
I don't risk that with strangers at like a dance social, a Latin dance social, or like bachata because I'm
no,
like,
you can't. You
nope,
can't.
nope.
That one is one where like yeah, you can't. That's gasoline. You gotta be careful with that. That's dangerous. I was thinking like the dramatic, like, oh, is someone gonna cry? Like, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the central but that's part of it too, right? Like and I
Yeah,
think there
because
has
you
to be that
get into a
level of
different
trust, but
character. Yeah, yeah, and then you
mhm,
get into that different character, kind of
mhm,
like against storytelling. There's a
yeah.
thing that you wrote here where it's called PDA, position, direction, and
Mhm,
action.
mhm.
What is that, and why is that part of this?
Yeah, so position, direction, action, that just refers to these sort of three principles that are throughout every single dance, right? Position, that's how you are oriented to your person. Direction is how you are moving through space. And then action is pretty much anything outside of position or direction. So turns, spins, passes, all that kind of stuff. And how you use those things. The order is not as important. Like patterns aren't as important as the thing you're trying to capture in the music. So yeah, that's it. That's basically that.
Okay, finally, the last one. It's funny because when
Hmm.
the last one, I feel like it's easier to spot because it's not, it's more black and white, I feel like.
Hmm. Yeah.
Technique,
Yeah.
technical
It's
skill.
technique. Yeah.
This one I actually scored lower, but like
Yeah.
probably the
Same,
most.
same. Same,
Yeah.
same.
Because when you
But
know,
but I know. It's like,
yeah, it's like when you've danced with people that are usually
mhm,
they're like teachers and they like have honed their
mhm,
craft
mhm.
and you dance with them, it definitely feels different. And it feels for me more controlled. That is the
Yeah.
best way of putting
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
looking at my videos and there's one where I dance with a teacher and my spin, even I spun cleaner. And I thought it was more of a me thing, and it probably is, but the fact that he was leading me and I spotted well, it just felt more everything felt more controlled.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one of the hallmarks of someone who dances like a specialist. I think specialists, generally speaking, are going to have higher technique. And it's funny because you might think, oh,
Well,
you have
specialist, just
more.
if people are listening,
Mhm.
your definition of specialist, what do you mean by
Yeah.
that?
So my definition of a specialist is someone who dances one, maybe two dances, but they almost exclusively dance one dance very heavily.
Like
So what
specialize in that. That's their world.
yeah, yeah, like that's their world. That's what they do. That's what they're really good at. And I think the benefit of it is that you get to really refine things like balance or body control or body awareness, right? Like how you step, where you step, what you do. It has a purpose. It has a reason. And so you don't see them often collapse their shoulders or the rib cage or they don't tend to um when they rotate, they don't over rotate. They land exactly where they need to be so that they can do the next thing seamlessly.
Yeah, I think it's like the consistent, right here we have posture, frame, and
Hmm.
weight shift.
Hmm.
Those are things where like there are moments where I am shaky in those. Like maybe on video it doesn't look like that, but I can feel it. And
Yeah.
I'm like, is it me? Is it them? And it's probably me.
Yeah.
So
There are moments I'll see myself on video and I see myself covering up when I know I was off balance. And I'm just like, oof, because it'll look like I'm doing a thing. And I was like, no, I was recovering because
yes, yes.
yeah.
Like recovering is I feel like with really high like higher technique people, like they don't seem to have to recover as much. There's always a possibility there, but
Mhm.
again, it's just consistent and clean.
Mhm.
And they nail things and stuff like that. Same time, like yeah. So I feel like technique is kind of easier in terms of like if you don't have good technique, people feel it for sure. You know.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's that summed up. So again, it's connection, consent, musicality, adaptability, movement, vocab, creativity, and technical mastery or technique. And one of the practicas we had, one of the things that came up was using remembering to engage the core, because that's a thing. And now I understand what you mean now when you say like give me you're dancing there, like, give me more core. And I'm like, how does he
Hmm.
feel that I'm not engaging my abs? This is insane. But, as I'm starting to learn to lead, it's like being able to feel it on the other side now, and you're like, "This
Yeah. Yeah.
makes
Yeah. Yeah.
sense."
Hmm.
And, or even musicality, it's like slowing down because like, I rush. Or even people are able to workshop moves, or they're just like, "Oh, Kayla, I remember that thing you did on me, like, can you explain how to do it? Because I feel like I'm off balance," that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And what's good about these practicas is that we are facilitating it. Uh, I think sometimes people think practicas are you just show up and, like, we just practice with each other and you just like hang out and stuff like that. It's like, yes, usually the hangout socializing happens like afterwards, but we are facilitating because like there is a limit of time. People are busy. And so they know that between these hours, you can come and really hone in on what you want to, or being able to pair up with people that can show you that. Or maybe if you have something they can show you
Hmm.
as well. But
Yeah.
also like we pair and share, which is where you dance with people and they give feedback. And it's really like people said it's been supportive and positive and also like constructive as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think and I'll just also add really quick that one of the things that we're really intentional about is the kind of feedback that we give, because I don't think all feedback is useful in the sense that if I tell you that you did good, that doesn't help you in any way, shape, or form. If I say, you're like, hey, how was that dance? I say, it was good. You're like, okay, cool. But that doesn't tell you why it was good. That doesn't tell you why I'm saying it was good. So the way that we try to encourage feedback is through honesty, but also through specificity. Where I might say something like, oh, I really enjoyed the turn you did right at this point in the song. because it went right along with the lyrics and it was really cool to see. Or the way you whipped your hair, I was like, wow, I love the attitude, right? Though like that there is going to do more for you than me saying it was good, you did good, because now you have a specific idea of what I'm calling good, and that tells you, oh, okay, cool. So my turns are getting really, my spins are getting really good, and
This is why.
I'm like, now I know, and now I know that this is something that I was practicing in the mirror, and it's paying off.
Like, again, with these practicas, like, imagine if you're a chef and you're making a dish and you're like, "How is it?" And people are like, "Yeah, it's good." Or if they say,
Yeah,
like, "Oh, it's,
yeah,
I think it's cool. I think it's okay." And you're like, it's only okay." Like,
hmm,
"Why?" And you're just
yeah,
like, "Oh, I think you" it helps when someone's like, "You need more salt because none of the
yeah,
flavors are coming out," you know?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
really, or maybe more of like, you need to cut the chili pepper is actually
hmm,
overpowering everything, and so because
yes,
of that, we're not able to taste all those ingredients
hmm,
that you put in, but this
wow,
is
yeah,
how you can balance it out. You can add the sugar, you can add a bit more of chicken broth, and that will thin it out, and that's how you can tweak it, you know?
yeah,
And so getting that more specific feedback, um, that's where, again, I feel like same thing, it brings back to the rubric, like, people are like, "This is,"
yeah,
I wish you, with musicality, there's some parts of that song where you are rushing. You are just going 50 miles per hour all the time, but this
yeah,
one right there, you can sit into it. I remember a feedback that we got, I mean, when we paired, was the
yeah, yeah,
fact that,
yeah,
like, that was a good one because afterwards, we were stopped and be like, "Hey, this is
yeah,
do it
yeah,
again."
yeah,
With more music, like, more
hmm,
feedback, and then we did it, and for me, I was like, "That felt so much better on
yeah,
my
same,
end."
same, same,
Yeah,
same,
and it, yeah, but it was like, it was quick, it wasn't like one of those things that it takes another 2 months to fix. It was like,
hmm,
and then you're able to bring that to the next dance social and be like,
yes.
yeah, it just brought so much more texture and flavor to the dance,
Mhm.
you know? So
I
yeah,
love
this
how you put it, how you use that analogy of like cooking, where like, maybe, you need more salt, right? And that to help bring out those other flavors, right? Like that kind of like feedback where it's pointed towards something that you can measurably do. I think that there, like that's one of the things that you really can't get unless you're in, you do one of those big weekenders or you have a private or like this is, and just like you said, like this is like it's so amazing to be able to get. I obviously I'm biased, but I feel like it's so amazing to be able to get that feedback from people who you're dancing with about your dancing. But it's not. It doesn't feel like it's judgmental. It
no,
feels like it's.
I think
It
that's what
feels like
people are
it's just
afraid of.
giving you language. Like it's
Yeah.
it's it's more of like it's giving you the tools to be able to describe the flavors you're tasting and what you want more of, or what you're like, oh, I don't want as much of this. This is too salty for me.
And I think some people might be like, "Oh, but everyone's subjective." It's like,
Hmm.
no, I feel like there's things where a bunch, that people will point out and you'll see it's a
Hmm.
pattern.
Yeah.
Like, for example, it's like,
Mhm.
trying, "You need to slow down this area." And if 5 people are saying it, I'm
It's
just
me.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Even I feel it too. It's more of,
Yeah.
when sometimes you're doing things out of habit,
Habit.
and then
Yep.
someone's just like, "Hey, don't forget before you leave to, like, turn off the oven." And you're just like, "Right, right. Oh my gosh, I
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
forgot." It's
Yeah.
not, um yeah, I think the Practicas, I mean, people have been really finding it helpful, and so, I mean, if you guys haven't been to one, definitely check one out, for sure. It's actually really leveled up my dancing for sure, and it's, like, not huge tweaks at all, but these little tweaks make a huge difference,
Yeah, they
and
do. Oh my
and
gosh.
even
Yeah.
for me
Yeah.
engaging, like, I realized I don't look at my partner a lot, and I started doing it, and I realized the leads just, like, lit up more,
Mhm.
and, a lot of them, and I it was because I was so focused on just executing moves,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and making sure, like, I'm not falling or anything like that,
Mhm.
and also part of me is just like, I don't want them to get the wrong idea that I'm, like, hitting
Yeah.
on them or anything, but, at this point, I've danced with a lot of the leads already, so they kinda know my face, and, it just seems more, it's like you're going on a date and the person is actually interacting with you and they're like, "Oh, that's so cool," instead of
Mhm.
just them sitting across from you and just listening with a faceless expression.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
I think
that's more
I
of like an
shared a
energetic
meme.
component. I
Mhm.
think that's more of an energetic component too, like of
Mhm.
being engaged and being like, "I see you, you see me,
Mhm.
we're in this conversation together. Cool."
Yeah, no, I think I shared a meme about that exact thing today where it was like the gist of it was like it was like when you go from a dance, like an amazing dance, and then the next person has just like the like ice cold stone face. And you're just like, all right, now you're ruining the night. Like you're ruining the vibes. You know what I mean? Um, And it's like I get it because I think there's kind of like these three levels, right? Like there's the baseline level, which is just regular smile, and it's very polite, and then the level above that, that's like what you're talking about. That's like being like engaged. You can tell they're paying attention to you. You feel like you're seen. They feel like you're seeing them. Like it's just this mutual, like, wow, we're here. We're dancing with each other, not at each other. But then like the low level is like just it looks like the face of anger and you can't tell. You're like, do you want to be here? Like, do you want to dance? And the thing that gets me is like when I'll have a dance with someone, and I understand everybody has different, different face, whatever. So I'm just, I'm not like, just trying to pick on anybody, but it's like, it's so hard as a lead because I'm like, do you not want to be here? And then at the end, they're like, that was great, thank you, and they mean it, and I'm just like, what? Because the entire time you looked like I owed you money, and I didn't know if this was okay or not. I'm like, am I messing up? What's happening here? I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
And we want Fusion University to be a fun, but also a good space where you are able to give, you feel comfortable giving feedback and also receiving feedback. And I notice that people get nervous, and I know why probably. People get nervous about giving feedback or receiving because it's like a bad thing, right? And it's because I think they're not exposed and used to doing this. So, at work, your office job, whatever, you get usually one-on-one annual review.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
you're just like, "Oh my gosh, my pay raise is like all on this one meeting," and stuff like that. But if your boss and you had a conversation per month, per week of like feedback, just like what feedback you got for me, this is what you're doing well, this is what you could work on,
Mhm.
improve. But if you do that,
Yeah.
like if you do it like every day, you're just kind of like, all right, Bob, what day, what now, But if you're doing it only
Mhm.
once a year, or it's like even with your girlfriend, like if you guys need to have a discussion, you're not going to wait the end of the year to do it. Right. But when you
Mhm.
have it often, it feels a bit more normalized.
It's like micro corrections or fixes or even micro praises versus like this big thing where it's either like this is all the things you're doing great or this is how you're failing me in every way possible and how you've been failing me for the last 7 months. Yeah, it's different. It's so
Yeah.
much better to have those like little things here and there versus just one massive thing all at once.
Exactly. And so I think when people are getting into, let's say, this habit or this space where this is a normalized thing, like, hey, we're trying to help each other grow here, where everyone's been kind, to be honest. There's no one that's just like, you suck, it's just it's been really
That's
constructive.
been a you to me, but it's fine.
That's nice. So, anyways, someone was saying that they were really glad that we're doing these and it feels like a group private for the classes and practicas because they can't afford privates. Like those are expensive. So we're kind of like that middle
Expensive.
person. Yes. So you're not getting a 40-person class with us, but you're not getting an expensive private with us. We're kind of like that good quality experience in the middle. So, anyways, check out our practicas. They've been pretty helpful, pretty, and also like everyone's just been supportive, and that makes me happy
Yeah.
because you see the bonding that happens there, and everyone, and it's just like, yeah, I feel like that click of like, I can do this. Like, cool. I walked away with something useful that's been fulfilling. So, like, fulfilling, especially with all the hours behind the scenes we've been putting together and all the gray hairs you've been getting.
The only other thing I'd want to say is that, like, I think I said this in a previous episode that you get out what you put in. But the beautiful thing about practicas and rubric and all these things is you get more than you put in because it's multiplication, not addition. Like you get to be around people who are also cultivating, and it always unlocks so much more than if you were just practicing or just doing this. Like you end up almost like absorbing through osmosis other skills, other ideas. And it's like, this is the place to do it. Like, this is the place to actually experiment with new ideas. If you feel like you've been in a rut, I feel like I've been in a rut. And some of the feedback that I've gotten, I feel like that's helped me and is helping me actively get out of that space. So, like, I want to do a practical before I go to the next like fusion weekender. Like that's how powerful it feels. It's like I feel like that's gonna warm me up and have me there so that when I'm at that weekend, I'm just like, I'm taking in everything. And I'm dancing at my peak. So yeah. No.
Yeah. So, with that, speaking of weekenders, if you are going to City of Motion, we might be there. still haven't bought my tickets yet, let us know. We'd like to
Mhm.
say hi, or if you're from LA, be like, "Hey, do you want to split hotel?" For real.
Facts. Dude, this,
Uh,
I don't know why she's laughing. I'm not laughing. I'm serious. I like to save money. Okay.
yep, bring that sleeping bag to sleep on the floor.
Straight up.
Fit like 6 people on the hotel room.
I'm like, look, I'm just gonna get some toilet paper, use that as my pillow. Like straight up, we're cutting costs right here. Okay.
When you call housekeeping downstairs, and you're just like, "Hi, can I have, like, 2 extra pillows?" And everyone has to hide in the bathroom.
Yep. Yep. Oh my gosh.
Oh, honestly, they probably don't care.
Mm.
It's just like
No, I feel like they definitely know, and they're just like, I'm not getting paid enough for this. It's fine.
it's true. Just give them slip them a tip. Or like, like maybe someone has hotel points and they could just be like, "Hey, there's one down the street," or like, yeah, okay. So with that, if you enjoyed this episode or want to check us out, please check us out on social media at Fusion University. That's Instagram and Facebook. That's our school. But if you want to check out this podcast, again, we're at Fusion Dance Podcast. We'll include all these down below in the show notes. That's where you'll find events that we create. And even if you don't have social media, let us know and we can add you to the email list. Again, thank you so much for being here with us as we continue to do FU. This is a monstrous beast. And also, we're always looking for help. So let us know. And
Mhm.
yeah, we'll see you next time.